Hello there, Aquarius. Welcome to your reading. I've got some really interesting images that came through. So bear with me. First of all, so I see this warrior couple. They're wearing what looks like medieval style, I guess, armor. So one is a woman, the other one is a man. So I don't know if they're romantically involved, but they're kind of standing next to each other. The man, he has like a broadsword, one of those big swords that you have to hold with two hands. And the woman, she's got a smaller sword, and the other hand has like a shield. And they're surrounded by people that wants to, I guess, kill them. And then, there are two of them. Their backs are to each other. They're like trying to protect each other, but also fight off the people that have encircled them. So I see like 8 or 9 people circling around them. And so it flashes to this tunnel of light. So I guess like they must have perished. And then I see the same two people, the man and the woman, but the woman is wearing in modern day clothes. She's wearing what looks like a business suit, and she looks like she could be a secretary or a paralegal. There's a lot of documents and files on her desk. And then she's sitting down at her desk, and the man is standing up, and he's wearing a suit. And he seems to be like her boss or something like that. And he's telling her, he's giving her details about a very, very important case, and then she's taking notes. So right away when I saw this, I almost feel like any of you might be in a relationship where it's a reincarnational, where there might have been, a shared past life situation. And what I feel is there is residual energies from those past lives that are carried over to this lifetime. And the first thing that I felt was this very intense, life or death type of a situation where if you were in that past life where you were, fighting with each other against your enemies or whatever, there's an element here about, having a tremendous amount of trust that the other person has your back, having a tremendous amount of trust that the other person is not going to, stab you in the back and leave you for dead and save their own skin. So I feel like some of you are in that type of a relationship where there is an immense, immense, immense amount of trust that you have with one another. And going to the other image where it's almost like a boss subordinate type of a relationship, there might be a little bit of a power dynamics or power struggles in the relationship where one person feels like they make the executive decisions and then the other person has to obey, or one person feels like they're in more of a subordinate role and they have to cater to the other person. So that's what I'm feeling here. And I feel like those energies are carried over into your present relationship. Okay. So for those who are in a relationship and that resonates with you, what I feel is, on the one hand, when we are reunited with a soul, especially somebody that we shared a past life, love relationship with, it can feel very magical. It can feel like, you talk to this person for 5 minutes and you feel like you've known them a lifetime. It can stir up a lot of passion and a lot of just indescribable magnetism. It's almost like you're drawn into each other's orbits. Okay. There might have been a lot of synchronicities, a lot of, I feel like chance encounter where you kind of run into each other, unexpectedly. There's a lot of that. And I feel like it is stemming from some type of a past life connection. I'm also seeing as well you both really inspire each other because this past life energy is all about growth and expansion, and it's almost like there's so much trust involved in the relationship where no matter what, you want the other person to do well. You want the other person to be happy. You want the other person to thrive, and you want the other person to survive, okay? To do well, to excel professionally. You're not threatened by the other person outgrowing you, and vice versa. They're not threatened about you outgrowing them. Two people just really want what's best for one another. And whenever I see this sense of responsibility too, and it's coming up in this card. We have here the Two of Swords, agreeing to disagree. Okay, this is like kind of like that stalemate. It's almost like that truce. Okay, we're not going to, aggravate each other. We're not going to continue to, argue over this. We can agree to disagree. So I feel that there's a sense of, that yin yang energy, that male female, um, I guess like opposite, where the two of you are very, very different from each other, but together you know how to harmonize the energies, you know how to make things work. And despite your differences, there is a great degree of trust here. The reason I brought that up is because those images came out really strongly. And I feel for some of you, even if it's not a love work relationship partner, I feel like you're having some type of a chance encounter with somebody that you've known before in a previous lifetime, where you really needed to depend on each other in order to survive. And no matter what, there was so much trust and faith and like that sense of personal responsibility to one another. So it's like a very beautiful type of an energy. But at the same time, past life energies can keep us very stuck. Okay. Um, Ways of doing, patterns of behaving, all of those things can be a little bit restrictive. That's what I'm sensing. So breaking away from that, and a lot of people do past life regression so that they know what challenges they face in their past life and how that has really affected them in this lifetime, or how that has created very it's almost like unexplained phobias or unexplained fears or cycles of behaving, so that they can break those cycles. So I feel like this past life snippet that I'm seeing is hopefully allowing some of you to kind of leave it in the past and try to move forward. Okay. And what's coming out very strongly for me is it's almost like, if you are in that lifetime where you're fighting off like 8 other people, you're not in that survival mode, fight or flight mode anymore. And so you have to kind of be strategic about using the resources that are around you in order to make the situation a little bit more harmonious. Okay. So that's what I'm getting. What's coming in for you, especially for, this month? I have here the Princess of Wands, and this is in the traditional Rider-Waite deck. This is more like the Page of Wands. New passion, new energies, new drive and ambition, wanting to soar for the sun, wanting to show yourself as somebody who's capable and competent and, able to get work done. So I see you coming into this month very enthusiastic to get a lot of work done, to kind of show yourself, show your skills, and to, feel it's almost like embracing things, embracing new opportunities, not shying away from a challenge, wanting to take on even more responsibility so that you can learn, so that you can grow, so that you can expand. So I feel like you're coming in very, very confident. For many of you, you're looking for work opportunities mainly because you feel like your skills might not be properly, utilized in one environment. So you're seeking more work, you're seeking more responsibilities, or even more duties to kind of showcase your talents. For others of you, you might take on a second job, or you might look elsewhere, mainly because I do feel there is an element here about lacking in financial resources. Okay, so you might have, overspent, you might have overindulged, and this month you're finding yourself a little bit in the red, and you're just like, okay, where can I, cut corners when it comes to my expenses, or where can I make more money so that I am able to make more? So I feel like you're very, very motivated to go to work, if anything, to increase your financial earnings. Okay. I see many of you going through your bank accounts, going through your ledgers, itemizing everything, and then trying to figure out where you can skimp, where you can save up, where you can, cut corners when it comes to your expenses. So a little bit of fears when it comes to your finances, when it comes to moving money around from the savings account to the checking account and things like that. I see a lot of that coming in for this month, and I see you itemizing to figure out, if, for example, if you're contemplating a move, how much is that going to cost? How much is it going to cost for a new house, a new apartment, and especially to renovate or even to arrange, I'm seeing, and also like buy new furniture. So I feel like you're itemizing everything, you're putting things up for sale, you're cleaning and decluttering your environment. There's a little bit of stress coming through for this month. I feel like there's a lot of electronic communication coming back and forth. So I feel if you are putting things up for sale or you are doing something where you're selling things electronically and you have a lot of buyers. Okay. So like they're coming in and asking you, like possibly even reducing the price. Can you, rather that, so for example, if you're selling something for dollars, they're like, can you give it to me for dollars? So there's this constant back and forth. And I feel like you can, kind of put your foot down just to save yourself, the emotional anguish. Just put your foot down and say, oh, I'm sorry, whatever price I listed, that's the final price. I'm very sorry about that. So that's what I see. I feel like people are bargaining with you, but they're not doing it face to face. They're doing it through emails. And it just seems like it's a drawn out process. So they would ask you a question, and it's not until the next day that you respond to them, and then the next day they respond to you. So it feels like it drags on for more than a week when you just want to get these items out of your space. That's what I'm feeling here. So I see a lot of cleaning up, decluttering, which is good. I feel like it's going to put much needed, resources back in your pocket. So traveling light, decluttering your environment, cleaning things up, I feel like it's going to be very fruitful. Okay. What I also have as well, this is the Nine of Cups. Okay. This is a card about emotional fulfillment, getting your wishes met. And when I saw this cup, you know how, I don't know. I don't know how to describe this, but you know how some people they arrange, like for New Year's, for example, or like at a wedding, they arrange all the champagne glasses almost in a pyramid, and then they pour the champagne from the top cup, and then it trickles down to all the other ones. That's what I'm feeling. And Aquarius, one of the habits that you have is in order for you to feel completely happy, you feel like everything has to be perfect. Everything, like it's almost like I can only be happy if all of my ducks are in a row. I can only be happy if all the areas of my life are perfectly balanced. Okay. So work has to be perfect. I have to love the job. My relationship has to be perfect. On top of the work being perfect, I have to be with soulmate. And then on top of work and love life being perfect, I have to have like, groups of friends or, group associations that are really emotionally fulfilling. And then on top of that, family situation has to be perfect. So everything in your life you feel like has to be at its best in order for you to say, I'm happy. And I feel like there's a little bit of a fallacy when we look at things in that way. It makes us too perfectionistic. It it's almost like putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself to make sure that everything in your life is stable and perfect and just, everything is in its place rather than really enjoying the imperfections and rather than just enjoying the moments of happiness as they come in. So I see almost this obsessive need from your end, not only to control things, Four of Pentacles, it's the Miser card, but also you're trying so hard to exact perfection in all areas of your life, and you're not giving yourself a break. You're trying so hard to be everything to everybody, and you're not giving yourself the time to just be you. You're measuring, I guess, like your ideals of happiness as being, this total state of completion where everything is neat and orderly and perfect. And you're putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself. I feel like many of you have become aware of this. and you're shifting to a place where you are more welcoming when it comes to, the organized chaos. Like you're welcoming it and you're okay with that. And so what I feel in terms of this spread overall, when it comes to your advice, is this is a square, right? It is very, very stable, but at the same time, it's a little bit rigid. It's a little bit uninspiring. So they're trying to shift you away from this and to allow this change to happen in your life. Change that is a little bit more open-ended, change that is also a little bit more like organic. Okay? So not seeing things as this four corners and everything has to have a place, and it's building things up like one by one, and needing to itemize everything. They're telling you to kind of allow the process to organically unfold and to work from a space where you're, I want to say, allowing the universe, I guess, to take over. What I really like about this card and this symbol of Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of luck and expansion, okay? And so you're being helped along the way, and is to kind of allow you to take a step back, not try to control everything, and just let things unfold in a timely manner, okay? In a timely manner that is divinely guided, okay? So aside from that, the other thing that I'm picking up here is let's talk about the relationship partner or whoever it is that is heavily on your mind that you are thinking about. We have here the Eight of Wands. This is a very non-traditional deck, okay? And what I feel is, for some of you, the Eight of Wands is, the fast, swift communication. In this deck, the energy is a little bit different. You're dealing with somebody who communication between you and this person can be a little bit contentious and can be a little bit jarring. Going to back to what I mentioned before about, the situation where the two of you might not really see eye to eye on any things. The two of you as well, and I do see as well, a lot of people in same-sex relationships in this spread as well. And despite being the same gender, there are just a lot of differences between the two of you, where you might have different cultural upbringing. You might have different religious beliefs. You might even have different ways in which you look at relationships and parenting. And, one person might want children, the other person might not. One person is a homebody, the other person is very adventurous. So I see this opposition between you and the other person. But for whatever reason, the two of you have very similar values. Okay. And that's what's weird about it, because let's say a value of yours, Aquarius, is, let's just say, for many of you at least, okay, it's almost like doing things to the best of your capabilities. Okay. The person that you're dealing with, they have the same values as well. And because of that, on a values basis, things work out well despite all the differences. Okay. And then let's just say another value of yours is, working really, really hard. Okay. So for example, if your boss gives you an assignment and they're like, I need this by the end of the day, even if you have to, stay very, very late in order to get it done, once you tell somebody you're going to get it done by the end of the day, you're going to get it done. So even if you have to stay behind, you still will do it. And you even if you can, finish it by like 5 p.m., close of business day. But if the quality is lacking, you don't mind staying behind to perfect it and to make it the best that it can be before you submit it. And I feel like your partner has the same type of mentality. And when two people have the same types of values, it basically means that despite all the differences, despite all the ideological, clashes, despite the religious differences, despite the cultural differences, things can still work because you have the same values. And that's what I'm seeing here. I see for some of you, your happiness, and this is something you're very afraid of. I see for some of you, you feel like your happiness has to come at somebody else's expense. And I don't know why that is, okay? So it could be You want your partner to chip in and do a lot more than they're doing. But at the same time, you feel guilty about asking. It's almost like some of you are, once again, running yourself ragged, trying to be so perfect, trying to keep the house afloat, trying to keep your professional life moving, and trying to, keep the kids clean and fed and clothed and, put to bed. And then trying to balance out, making the time to see all of your friends. You're running yourself ragged, trying to keep everything afloat. And you want your partner to chip in, but you also understand that your partner as well, because of this values, your partners are also like you. They're trying to get things sorted out and moving along in their life. And you feel like, I really need you to step in and help me. But is it selfish for me to ask this of a partner? Of course, it's not selfish for you to ask, but you feel that way. And so your happiness does not have to come at anybody's expense. I feel like that is a mentality or a false paradigm that you're taking on because you're so self-sufficient most of the time that you feel it shows weakness or it shows a lack of being able to be on top of things when you have to ask somebody for help. Okay. And I feel like it is within your right and it is something that you deserve. You have to be able to be open and honest with your partner. So it's okay to ask for help. And then this image about your happiness is coming at somebody else's expense. So I have here 9 of Swords and then 9 of Cups, trading one for the other. Some of you might be in a relationship with somebody who is already in another relationship. And if they were to leave that person in order to be with you, because like I said, there's some type of a past life energy here. It is really, really strong. So they're feeling this draw or this really magnetic, almost like electrifying lightning bolts. Okay. Electrifying pull towards you. And you feel like happiness is coming at somebody else's expense. They have to leave somebody in order to be with you. And there's a lot of guilt about that because with the Aquarius person, you don't want things to happen at anybody else's expense. You feel like it's not fair and you feel almost like, yes, you want this, but at the same time, you would feel really, really bad that somebody else is losing out on something in order for you to win something. That's what it feels like to me. So I see this inner conflict within you about not accepting something that you really, really, really want because it's coming at the expense of somebody else. Okay. The person that you're dealing with, I have here the Moon, a really strong, almost like telepathic, mutual understanding between two people where emotionally you're definitely on the same page. This is a really balanced card when it comes to the imagery in this deck. It's almost like long distance, and despite the distance, the two of you are still very, very much spiritually connected. Okay. And once again, this is a very, very strong past life type of a connection that I'm seeing here, where there's a big sense of responsibility, not wanting to hurt one another, not wanting, it's like a mutual understanding where we have each other. And then I also feel like the communication might oftentimes be a little bit kinetic. It seems very ADD to me. It's like you can talk about every topic under the sun. And then within like a 5-minute conversation, things start here and they veer off to a very, very different direction. So it's like you can talk about family, you can talk about work, you can talk about, your car, you can talk about your pets, and then you can like veer off on really, really tangential topics. So I feel like everything is being discussed, a lot of communication going back and forth between you and the partner or whoever it is that you're dealing with. I'm also seeing as well, you're giving a lot more communication than they're giving back. And I feel like they might feel a little bit overloaded. Okay, so that's what I'm sensing. It's almost like you're bombarding them with way too much communication, and they're still trying to figure out how to answer your first question, and you've already shot them like 3 other questions. So I feel like it would be better if you slow down when it comes to the communication so that It allows the two of you to understand each other fully and to discuss one topic at a time, thoroughly and completely, before you move on to another topic. Does that make sense? So I feel like there's a lot of communication, but when it comes to substantial communication, I feel like you guys are just like scratching the surface and you're not talking about things thoroughly enough in order to resolve or in order to fully express or fully um, explore that topic before you completely move on. Okay. So slow down the communication a little bit, asking the other person more follow-up questions so that you understand where they're coming from, because I feel like they feel a little bit overwhelmed. They're like still trying to figure out the first part, and you're already, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of them. And I feel like they feel a little bit overwhelmed. Okay. Your partner is going through some major transformative changes in their love life as well. And what I mean is, if in the past they've just been like going through the motions, doing what is expected of them, doing what is culturally expected of them, or what is, socially expected of them. So, for example, if they are a male and they're in their 30s, they're just like, okay, by the time I need to be established with a career so that I can get married, so that I can, have a kid when I'm 5, because by the time it's going to be too old. Um, that's what I feel is going through your partner's head. This is somebody who's very stable, who's very reliable. And I feel like they're very strong as well. They seem like very well rounded and they feel like they're very family oriented. I'm seeing this rainbow here and it's almost like that completion. Okay, everything is like under the rainbow. So I feel like it's somebody who's very, very family oriented. And so they've been going through the motions as to what's expected of them. And I feel like it's not until the past 2 years where they kind of stopped themselves and to look at, am I doing this because it's making me happy, or am I doing this because it's expected of me? So I feel like they're going through some major transformations when it comes to being able to clearly identify what brings them emotional happiness versus what brings them stability, or versus what they're doing that is, appeasing everybody, but that's not really making them happy. I also feel as well, they're starting to understand you a little bit more. So this could be, your significant other, your spouse, or even the person that you are interacting with. They're starting to understand you a lot more. They're starting to understand your way of thinking. They're starting to understand that when they're dealing with you, what they see is pretty much what they got. Because I feel with this moon, where they have been very confused about you in the past, because they kept reading between the lines. They didn't take you at face value. And so now it's like they stop reading between the lines. They just take everything that you say at face value. And I feel like they're starting to get it. They're starting to have like a much better understanding of you. And they're starting to feel as if, I don't have to fear this person. So if in the past their guard has been up about you, if they've been blocking you or guarding, like, putting up their walls, or just doing whatever it is that to kind of defend themselves against you for whatever reason. Maybe they're overwhelmed, or maybe they're afraid of the connection as well. Maybe they're afraid of the responsibilities in the relationship. They're putting their guard down. They're starting to understand you. They're starting to think like you, and they're starting to also, I feel like, you're bringing in awareness, or you're bringing a lot of ideas or ways of doing that they are welcoming. So I see them kind of absorbing your energy a little bit, which I feel is really good, because once they start doing that, Aquarius people are really hard to understand, but I feel like you have a partner or somebody here that is starting to really understand you, and they're kind of absorbing your energy, and that will allow them to understand you a lot more. Okay. So that's what I'm feeling here. There's going to be a lot of communication. There are a lot of changes that are happening in their lives. And then I also feel like whatever has been troublesome or problematic about the communication in the past, now there is some type of it's almost like a peace offering here. A peace offering, okay? A stalemate. We don't have to fight. We can agree to disagree. But I feel like they're taking more of your energy with the suit of swords, and they're starting to understand you. Um, Moving forward for this month at least, I feel like you have to be easier on yourself. I feel like you need to kind of embrace new opportunities and new energies, especially when it comes to, um, fun socializing and just, going out. I feel for many of you, don't keep yourself cooped up in the house out of fear of, seasonal depression. Get yourself a lot more physically active. Okay. So I'm going to leave it at that, Aquarius. I hope the reading is helpful for you guys. I do wish you the best. Okay. Take care. Oh, and one last thing. I am no longer giving private readings. So for those of you who are still emailing me, I guess you might not have heard the announcement last month, but I'm no longer doing private readings. So if you are interested in a private reading, I've put down a link in the description box for a psychic. Her name is Bridget. She is phenomenal. I highly recommend her. If you haven't already, please book an appointment with her. She is amazing. And I've used her services in the past, and I highly recommend her. So if you would do that, click on the description box in the click on the link in the description box, excuse me, and her scheduling website is right there. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.